Hi, welcome to this Facebook Live. So I just had a very interesting chat with a colleague entrepreneur, and she made me think a bit about selling a business. So I've been growing Move It for the last 5 years, and I remember if I think about selling a business or working with investors or I know in the beginning my thoughts were always like, okay, I want to create a business, I want to create something because I think I'll have to work my whole life. That was actually really how I started and became an entrepreneur. If I have to work my whole life, what can I do that I would love to do for the rest of my life? And then I found something and I got passionate and it became big and I needed to start hiring people. To the point that I noticed I was managing more than I was actually doing what I loved, which was and so I went from this idea of, okay, I want to create a business to do something I really love, which I would love to do for the rest of my life, to hiring people and suddenly doing all these administrative things and contracts and meetings with big customers, then to the point that sometimes I didn't want to have new customers because I knew, oh my god, I have to make a new proposal and a new contract and all these big things that come with growing a business. So at some point I also thought like, okay, I just need an investor, and then if an investor puts money in the business, then then I can do again what I love. And I always thought that's how it's gonna go, because that was the way it usually went in Belgium. You start a business, you grow it, and once you have enough revenue or customers, an investor comes in. But then often the CEO is kicked out. So I was like, then what do I do with the rest of my life? And I went in that direction, and we had proposals of investors. And I can remember seeing myself sitting at the table of talking about this first investment of, I can say the numbers. I can say the numbers, but ask me in a private message maybe, because numbers are looked at differently in an entrepreneurial way. But I see myself walking in that meeting with like 10 guys in a suit, and then there was me, and I was like, ooh, I had this dream, and we started having customers, and I'm like, oh my god, is this how the rest of my life's gonna look like? That I have to come and prove I had these thoughts like I have to start proving myself and we'll have to grow, and for me it had always just been fun. Running a business had always been just a lot of fun, and we put goals, and of course there was always pressure, but now I felt like, wow, if I have these investors, now it's going to be like, the fun is gone. That's kind of what I thought, and I freaked out in that meeting, and I thought like all these rules, and no, I was going to lose the fun and the way of keep going. Then I put a bit aside the idea of selling my business, and I went going for it again. And it evolved. Then I think a year later we kept going, we kept growing the team. I wanted to scale internationally then, but I learned from some very, very good business teachers, because I was always like, shouldn't we be going for investors? But I knew, or I focus my time on developing products, working with customers, working with a team, or I heard these, in my opinion, horror stories of entrepreneurs. They were just making presentations all day to get investors on board, and I'm like, what does it mean, an investor? Like, what does it mean if someone puts money? Investors usually want a return. So for me, it was like pressure. So I never really felt it 100%. I always thought, because my next step was I went to Dragon's Den, which is a TV program in Belgium. I thought, if I do it, I go all the way. Okay, we need 2.5 million to grow this business, because if we have an investor, then I believed what we're doing right now with a team of 6 people, let's do it with 60 people, and we grow quick. And I was on this TV show, and I pitched my idea for 5 investors, and suddenly I hear this one investor saying to me, you don't want me to invest in your company? And I was like, I've been meditating, and in my playfulness I'm like, I don't know, like, I think this is like a relationship, like any kind of relationship, so we should at least know each other. And I didn't think we have the same values. Like, I felt like in this relationship, this investor, I mean, he's a person, and there were other people, and I was like, yeah, for me, first the relationship needs to work, and then an investment can come from that. But if I find in a first meeting that the person who might want to invest in Move It or in a well-being company doesn't do any well-being habits at all, I mean, people can be open to it and grow, but if the values are so contradictory, then I'm like, there's no reason to talk about it. So I did the Dragons then, and I did a TV program, and we needed more revenue and more recurring, which is customers who pay every month. But I'm like, no, we want to teach customers something and then they can do it themselves. So that wasn't investor mindset either. They didn't like to hear it. We do have products now that have a license every month, and yeah, we're gonna make sure every contract is for 3 years, and there was all these techniques, and I'm like, no. If a customer is not happy, I want to know tomorrow that they can stop, because it's not good for me to have customers for 3 years. Yeah, but it gives certainty. And for me, like, it's almost like having an investor or looking at selling my business was a bit opposite to the values I thought I had all the time. So didn't happen again, and ever since I've been thinking more and more about the idea of investors, and I'm like, okay, but then a whole ton of money comes. What do we do with it? Okay, we hire more people. Okay, but we're currently already a lot of people. So what extra should we do? And also, can we handle the growth? We're growing quite quick right now. I like not to grow too quick, although the ambitions are big. So maybe it's my blocking beliefs, but I've always been like investors and and then going to the part of just selling the whole business. Maybe I'm way too attached talking in well-being terms to it, but I'm like, I can't imagine that I would let go of it's like I had a world view or a vision that I wrote books about, and I noticed that the times I wanted to stop and looked for someone to take over was usually when I was managing and when I was doing a lot of stuff I didn't like, and like just finances all the time. And I noticed that these were actually the points where I could improve a lot, and of course I don't have to do everything myself, but every time when I got into this feeling of, oh, it's done, I've done everything, it's time to sell the company now, I've made everything, every time in that moment we made a huge leap, and I'm really happy that I was still there. And if I look at companies like Apple, they took Steve Jobs back on after 10 years, and I think if a founder of a company has worked on it for so long and has put so many thoughts, energy, vibrations out there, that is very important to stay on board somehow. And selling doesn't mean you're not on board, but I'm actually meeting another investor in Australia next week, and then I'm going to open the topic again of, okay, what if we would have a big investment? Then we don't have a plan for it. We just believe income comes from customers, and what comes in we split into sales, marketing, product development. But then what to do with it? And this might seem like a very simple mindset. If I would look at myself now 3 years ago, I'd be like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know what to do, she doesn't have a business plan. I used to make Excels and business plans like pages. I studied economics. Now I just try to run a business very simple. We have 3 goals per month, and everyone knows these goals. Marketing has goals for it, sales has goals for it. It's become a lot more simple than what I traditionally learned, how to run a business and how to do it, how to manage it. Everything we do is now automated, like with the most amazing tools. We use Yuki, we use Xero, we use ActiveCampaign, we use ClickFunnels, we use Schedule Ones. Every task I used to hate, like scheduling appointments, it's all automated. Every single thing we do is mostly as automated, so we can focus on the course creation, working with customers, sales. And I noticed that I don't have that need anymore of like, oh, I want to. I still say it sometimes, like, if everything's up and running, I'm not necessary anymore. And then, but I started traveling as a digital nomad 2 years ago, and it kind of already opened me to live in Indonesia, to go surfing this morning, to be able to work half days instead of full days. And I still work like 24 hours sometimes in ones, and I still work really hard, but I also was able to create my dream life next to the business, and there's still a lot of work in it because I'm doing it, but that need of I want to make it and then sell it. I do want to grow it, and I do believe in investors and investments if it can speed up growth, but the growth still needs to be, if suddenly 100 people are joining instead of 10 per day, then it still needs to be supported. And I think there is a natural flow for every business, and if there's an investment and it suddenly goes like this, yeah. So that's kind of like my top, I guess, 3 learnings from the last years. Like, if you're running a business, even if you started or you're in it a while, keep it so simple that everyone knows what the goals are, so everyone can work what they feel is a priority, and create your dream life the same moment you're creating your dream business. Don't let it be one or the other. Do it together. And yeah, with investors, look at the relationship first before looking at, this is the money we need. What if you don't have the money? And that's something I use a lot from the attachment and detachment. Make a plan where you can survive with customers only, with investing every income from customers. Give yourself a salary, don't forget it, but split it. And see an investment as an extra. That's how I do it. Like, if there's an extra investment, okay, can running a business still be fun with this extra investment, or is gonna stress out the whole company? And then if you find an investor that has exactly the same vibes, that wants to be in the business, that's not just in it for profits. Profits are good, but I think both is important. That decisions need to be made on flexibility too sometimes. Thanks, Sean. So yeah, I think those are the 3 things if I look back at my journey, and that's how this Facebook Live video started, of selling a business, getting an investor on board. So I had some proposals, did a TV show, and heard myself say, I want us to be a match first before we talk about the money and the investments. And then, yeah, seeing, okay, if a business grows with investors' money, it's not going to pressure too much, that it can still be in a natural growth. And then I think it's a very beautiful story, and I hope I'm seeing investors. So next week, I'm not actively putting it out there, it's happening. Yeah, I'm very curious. I hope in my life that I get to share how it feels like to work with investors, and maybe to sell a business. I hope I don't have, but I think I don't want to sell a business. But how it feels, I think it's a very cool life experience too. So yeah, these are my insights on running a business, creating your dream life at the same time you're creating the business. And thanks for repeating that, Shani. And that's it. If you have any questions, if you're starting a business in well-being, if you want to go to companies, because that's our niche, I'm very happy to talk to you. And if you're curious, living a digital nomad lifestyle, so that's my way of creating my dream life, traveling from all over the world, then PM me, and I'm happy to have a chat with you about your dream business and dream work life. Anyways, have an amazing day, whatever time zone you're in, and see you in the next Facebook Live. Bye bye.